Zimbabwe diaspora remits billions of dollars, acting as a crucial lifeline for the country. Yet, the Zimbabweans in the diaspora remain on the sidelines of the political process. Tonight on the Kwedu Report, we are going to provide a timely analysis on how the diaspora can transition itself from being just a financial reservoir to having a direct say in the national development and the choosing of leadership, as well as aligning with the goals of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Initiative. Let me say from the onset, Section 67 of the Zimbabwean Constitution guarantees every citizen over 18 the right to vote. And yet the current Electoral Act effectively disenfranchises millions living abroad. Today on the Kwedu Report, we highlight this critical legal contradiction which the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative is actively petitioning to change. Now, we want to try and discuss how we can bridge the gap between constitutional right and implementation. Welcome to the Kwedu Report, a program brought to you by Hericom Media. We are joining you from our studios here in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. My name is Harry and I am your host. Today we are joined by the leaders of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative. Padmo Kufa, who is the spokesperson. Paddy, welcome to the Kwedu Report.
Thank you, Kwedu Report. I'm glad to be here, and hi to the viewers.
Thank you. We are also joined tonight by Frank Chikore, who leads the GoFundMe portfolio of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative. Frank, welcome to the Kwedu Report.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Frank. Last but not least, we are also joined tonight by the chairperson of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative, Roswitha Mangiroza. Roswitha, welcome to the Kwedu Report. It appears we have lost her due to some network challenges. Anyway, we hope that she will join us along the way. Now, I must say that we come here tonight to discuss this very important issue on the future of Zimbabwe against the background of very important developments in Zimbabwe in the past week, where we saw the Zimbabwean cabinet chaired by President Emmerson Mnangagwa passed a bill or an amendment on the constitution to change the constitution, basically bringing in the presidential term from 5 years to 7 years, as well as changing the lifespan of the Zimbabwean parliament. So these are very, very fundamental changes that have just been amended that are going to take effect if everything goes according to the plan, that is the ZANU-PF plan. So we are going to have a look at that specifically as we go on. But now, let us go straight into the crux of the matter. I will start with you, Padmo. What do you think was the catalyst that led to the formation of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative. And I'm sure you and me agree that we have had these moves and these initiatives before. What is the primary mission of this particular initiative this time around, and how does it differ from the previous unsuccessful attempts to secure the diaspora vote?
Right. The objective remains the same as the predecessors or predecessor organizations. The objective remains the same: getting afforded an opportunity as a citizen to have a say in the governance of our country. Um, in terms of differences, we have got a whole lot of new people. It's almost a completely new government that's there now. So people do change their thinking. If you remember, there was vehement denial of dual citizenship. But because people kept knocking at the door, it eventually gave fruits. And today we've got dual citizenship. So they may have those that were before us, they may have made attempts. Like I'm saying, the dynamics have changed. We've got a whole new government. Individuals are different with individual perceptions, individual thinking. So you never know how they are going to respond. And also, we will. I believe the earlier attempt to go to court was. I mean, it failed simply because of technicalities. So we are not looking forward to failing on technicalities if it so happens that we go to court. But the president himself had given us lots of courage in his perception on the diaspora people and the diaspora vote.
Diaspora were begging me to make sure people in the diaspora should vote. I have said as I made my presentation, I agreed.
If for the first time at that level, he did acknowledge that the Zimbabweans outside Zimbabwe are just as important as the Zimbabweans at home, which means we need to be afforded an opportunity to vote just like anyone else.
I think everyone agrees that there is need for every Zimbabwean to be afforded the opportunity to exercise their vote. Welcome back, Rosie. We had lost due to network. Now, let me come to you, Frank. You have been living in Australia for many years now, and I'm sure you have heard, just like I've done, some people say people living outside Zimbabwe are disconnected from the daily realities in Zimbabwe. What is your opinion on this? What is your personal connection to Zimbabwe? Why is the fight for the diaspora vote important to you?
Well, it is not correct that people in the diaspora are not connected to the realities on the ground. For a fact, I will say that we, as Zimbabweans living in the diaspora, have got families dotted everywhere across the globe, including in Zimbabwe. And we are in constant touch with people in the ground. And some of us even go back to Zimbabwe, where our roots are. So, therefore, it places us within the crisis obtaining in our country. And what it therefore means is that we need to participate in electoral processes in our country, notwithstanding our geographical locations. Because if you are to look at what the president or his administration has been saying in regards to diaspora remittances, it doesn't augur well with somebody who is outside there being encouraged to send money back home, which will be used to uplift the country's economy. But at the same time, that person is not given an opportunity to participate in electoral processes. We do not care who votes for which party. We are a non-political. We are an apolitical organization. What we are only crying for is the right to vote, and that right is actually enshrined in the constitution of Zimbabwe, which is the governing charter.
Yes, I agree with you that probably more than 99.9% of Zimbabweans living in the diaspora do have connections, very strong connections with Zimbabwe. Now,
If I may top up what my colleague has just said, you don't send 2-3 billion annually to an area you have no interest in. It is a misguided thought to think that we are disconnected from Zimbabwe. We are too fresh out of Zimbabwe to be disconnected. And every cough, every malaria outbreak, every sickness is affecting each and every one of us. Every school dropout, that's the billions we are sending annually to correct that. Now, for someone to come up and say we are disconnected, it's actually misguided. It is quite wrong. And then, in terms of the need to vote, the importance, before independence, the community, the Zimbabwe, the Rhodesian community then was divided into two groups, the voting and non-voting. It was based on economic level and a little bit of education, mostly economic level, how much you earned a year. And that actually excluded most of the black people. It was just a handful out of the then about 5 million or 6 million black Zimbabweans, Rhodesians that were there. So that actually galvanized the war, demanding one man, one vote. This was to seek self-determination. When the war was raging on, the cadres that were fighting never told us that there is a section of people that's not going to vote. It was one man, one vote. It was a war cry because we believed if we attained that self-determination, the land aspect will come in, the economic aspect will come in because we will have majority rule. Now it would appear like we are going back to those times again, where huge chunks of citizens are denied an opportunity to have a say in who governs and how this country is being governed. It would appear like we are reversing the gains of independence, which is not wrong. And more so, I'm attached with this, the amendments to the Constitution that are coming up today. It's actually now a whole nation being sidelined from having a say as to who is going to be the head of state. This is an attempt on the part of an organization that fought to bring one man, one vote. Now it would appear like they're fighting to put us back under bondage where we have no say. It's contrary to the whole theme of the liberation struggle. So I just thought maybe I could top up what my colleague was saying, Frank. That's why it is so important. It did not start with us, neither did it start with the Daniel Shuba and earlier groups. No, it was a war cry that started during the mobilization in the 30s, in the 40s, with our then political leaders and activists who were fighting for one man, one vote, majority rule.
Indeed, thank you very much, Padmo. Indeed, one of the fundamental aims and missions of the liberation struggle in Zimbabwe was to afford the previously disenfranchised black people one man, one vote, the right to vote. And that is what we are talking about today, especially with regards to Zimbabweans living in the diaspora. Rose Witter, you are the chairperson of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative. See, the Electoral Act currently restricts voting to civil servants and diplomats who are working abroad. What legal strategies is your initiative pursuing to challenge this? And I may add and say, what is your response to the 2018 Supreme Court ruling, that is Shumba and others, which concluded that the state is not obliged to establish polling stations outside the country? I think your mic is muted.
Okay. Thank you very much for the
Yes.
questions. I'll start with the first one regarding the Electoral Act that restricts civil servants and those working in the embassies, for example. What we've tried to do initially, we've tried to do a petition to Parliament, like many other organizations that are trying to lobby for this, and that didn't work. So then we sat down as a team and said, okay, what would be the best way for us to achieve this? And we thought, well, maybe let's appeal with the Constitutional Court to get Parliament to amend the Electoral Act. So this is where we are at this point. And in response to the 2018 Supreme Court ruling, Shumba and others, while it was right to say Zimbabwe was not obliged to offer diaspora voting because of legislative framework, but we feel like it missed the point where it says the applicants should petition Parliament to amend the constitution, which for some of us we've done, and it looks like because of everything that's happening, we don't probably have the same voice, a loud voice that we would want to. So maybe because the parliamentarians don't get as much benefit as they think they would, but for us, we feel it's our right, and and we feel like the electoral act should be the one that directs that voting should have a polling station, and where polling stations should be based. So in this point, I would say it is not only the constitution but the electoral act that has to be amended to give diaspora voting rights.
Thank you very much, Roswitha. Now, one of the main issues which the Zimbabwe government has always raised with regards to elections, even elections that involve the voting of Zimbabweans back at home, is the issue of funding for the elections, as well as logistical challenges. Considering that Zimbabweans are dotted around, all over the world, as the Diaspora Vote Initiative, what are you proffering as, remedies or as a way to try and address logistical challenges, especially of verifying eligibility for millions of potential voters in countries in the diaspora?
I don't think voting in the diaspora would be a big challenge to most of us living in the diaspora. I'll give you a very literal example. If I have to go to Zimbabwe to vote, a flight from where I am currently to Harare is about 3,500 Australian dollars, right? But if I have to fly to Canberra to vote, that's about $300-400. So
Thank you, Roswitha. Frank, would you want to respond to that? The issue of logistical arrangements to make.
Firstly, let me deal with the administrative issues in regards to your question. Um, where there is will, there is a way. This boils down to the priorities of the sitting government in Harare. Firstly, they need to put enabling legislation to allow Zimbabweans in the diaspora to cast their ballot from wherever they are. Then, secondly, the authorities need to draw up a budget to make sure that Zimbabweans living outside the country, Zimbabwe, that is, are able to participate in electoral processes. What that means is we can have polling stations based at embassies from our different locations here in the diaspora, and everyone in each and every country can easily travel to the respective Zimbabwean embassy to cast his or her vote. And with the advent of technology, you actually do not need to travel to the embassy nowadays. You can actually do it online. We've seen it happening. Countries like America do it. We have actually seen developing countries in Africa, for instance. The Mozambicans, they allow the diaspora vote. A tiny country like Malawi, they allow the diaspora vote. But we've got vast resources in our country, yet we can't even commit to ensure that less than 5 million people living outside the country are able to cast their ballots. To me, that is very embarrassing. We actually have millions of dollars being splashed everywhere in the country. I'll give you an example. We've got a situation where one Wikino Chivayo is buying cars for so many people out there with unexplained money, but we can't prioritize the right to vote for Zimbabweans in the diaspora who are contributing to the growth of the economy back home. To me, that is an insult. I actually think that we have got misplaced priorities as Zimbabweans. We've got misplaced. We've got a government that has got misplaced priorities. If we actually want this thing to work, we need to get our acts right, and it starts from ensuring that everyone is given the right to vote for a party of his or her choice. As the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative, we're an apolitical organization. It doesn't matter whether Ms. Mangirosa supports ZANU-PF or any other political party. It is their choice. Whether I support A party or B party, it is my choice as a Zimbabwean. What we are simply crying for is the right for us to cast our ballots from wherever we are. And the resources can be made available. And we are happy to help the government raise those resources in the event that it doesn't have those resources.
Thank you, Frank. To our viewers, if you are just joining us, thank you very much for joining us tonight on the Kwedu Report, where we are hosting the leadership of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative, an advocacy group that is fighting for the affording of voting rights to Zimbabweans who are living outside the country. You can follow or like our page on Kwedu Classics on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, or it's called X now, on TikTok. You can also follow us on YouTube. You can also read all the latest news on our website, hericalmedia.com. Now, we have already spoken about the vast amounts of money, the billions of money that the Zimbabwean population in the diaspora remit back home. I would want to understand from you, the members of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Initiative, given the vast contributions that the people in the diaspora make towards the economy, do you believe the diaspora vote will alter the political landscape in Zimbabwe, or is this primarily a human rights issue?
Right. Can I come in?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe firstly, I'll take a step backward on the previous question. Logistics. It is quite easy to establish postal voting in each country, and it's very cheap. You establish a polling station at the embassy. We have representatives sitting there, watching over the voting and receiving the postal votes and verifying them, so that people living in huge countries like America, Canada, Australia, yeah, they can always get a postal vote and send their vote to the embassy. I thought I can add that. That will cut the costs seriously. Right. Coming back to the current question, uh, it's not seeking to change the political leadership landscape or whatever you want to call it. It is simply demanding a right accorded to us as citizens. Because,
Padmo, even if you want to change the political landscape, to alter, to change leadership, it is still within your right as citizens to choose the leadership that you want. So
but
I really I want to differ with you there. That you see the idea behind voting is either you vote for continuity or to elect new leaders of your choice.
yes, we go back to the reason why we fought for universal suffrage. Yes, a change of leadership was possibly there. It's a latent issue, but the whole issue was human rights issue to be accorded to determine your own country's destiny. So the baseline is not changing leadership. Otherwise, we will be a fly-by-night organization. Uh, it will be built on shifting sand. That's not the objective of the diaspora vote. Just as it was the objective in the liberation struggle to self-determine. That's all we are asking for. That we participated in that struggle for self-determination. We cannot be denied now. Yes, people get voted out even within organizations. They get voted out. Those are the incidentals of self-determination. This is exactly why we voted Smith. He was on the ballot paper, but he was outnumbered. He was voted out. It is majority rule. It doesn't matter if who I think loses, who I support loses. The important thing is, am I exercising my right? If we start from there, it becomes very clear. So, like all our parties, they do have primaries, people fall out. That's the democracy we fought for. So,
Uh,
but that's not the objective of this organization, to make people fall out. That's not the objective. It happens, yes, but the objective is to exercise our right to vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Padmo. Now, one of the very critical issues that have been raised is the issue of manipulation of votes. Without postal votes from the diaspora, elections in Africa have always been contested. Now, there have been some voices we have been saying, if you have like 3 million postal votes, that's environment conducive for manipulation of elections. How do you respond to that?
Can I respond
Can I
there?
Probably.
can I take
I would want to say many African countries have had diaspora voting already, and it's been done as a normal way, I would say, in actual fact. So the same way that votes are counted in at any polling station where I come from, there in Chirumanzu, is the same way the votes will be counted in the diaspora. Party representatives will be there, election officers will be there. Everything should just be done transparently. So I don't think there is an issue of manipulation of votes when everything is done transparently. Everybody agrees we've counted 10. Yes, that's right. So where is the problem?
Okay. I'm sure
Yeah.
Frank, you would want to add. You want to add?
Frank wanted to come in. Give him
Okay.
an opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going. Thank you. I was going to say that with the advent of technology, it is very difficult to manipulate the results of an election, particularly given the fact that everything is done electronically. When we're talking of postal votes here, we are not talking of a heap of papers that is going to be sent to Harare for counting. Things have changed. Yeah? The landscape has changed. So what is only transmitted to the electoral commission or the body that will be managing the election at that particular time are the results, which will be containing signatures of party representatives, as the chairperson has alluded to before. So there is no need for us to get worried about the election outcome being not representing the will of the people. Far from it. What we are simply saying is that we as Zimbabweans, bona fide Zimbabweans for that matter, and we actually need to be participating in electoral processes in our own country, despite our geographical locations. Therefore, we cannot be talking about manipulation. It's neither here nor there. Let us put our eyes on the ball. Let's focus on the ball. Let us not digress. The administration must not try and arm twist us into believing that no, the elections will be manipulated somehow, or the opposition wants to manipulate us. No, it is neither here nor there. What we are saying is that we must be allowed to say what we want in terms of the management of our country. We are Zimbabweans too. We demand the right to vote, including in the upcoming referendum whenever it is called for.
Padmo, would you want to add there?
Yeah. I believe there were issues back home in the previous election. There were issues that there was voter manipulation. But those areas where voter manipulation was pointed out, are we going to stop them from voting? Because we as diaspora, we are an area of Zimbabwe and there is no justification from stopping us to vote. Manipulation, if someone does it, then we cross the river when we get there. We cross what we want, like Frank said, is the right to vote. And it's not, it is covered in the Constitution. It's simply because no one has bothered to align the act to the Constitution, like many other acts that haven't been aligned with the Constitution. So this is part of also alignment of the act. This is why we are saying there is no need to change the Constitution in terms of that, because it's quite elaborate in terms of citizens voting. And it actually gives the electoral body power to establish new conditions through an act of parliament, which act we are seeking to have amended by parliament.
Mm.
So the biggest thing here is actually political will. Like Madam Chair has said, we wrote petitions to the Speaker, to Parliament, the Chief Whips, the President, Minister of Justice. We wrote petitions. We send them individual copies of our petitions. But there isn't that political. I don't know what they're scared of. I don't know.
Padmore strongly feels that there is need to demonstrate political will on the side of the Zimbabwean leadership in order to afford the Zimbabweans in the diaspora their constitutional right to vote, just like any other citizens. Now, there's a question that I wanted to ask Frank specifically. I think let's hope he will rejoin us shortly. Now, the members of the Diaspora Vote Initiative, yes, are all based in Australia at the moment. Now, how do you intend to synchronize and lobby with other Zimbabweans who are dotted all over the world and make sure that this initiative is sold to all the Zimbabweans in the diaspora?
I think as an initiative, we've got the GoFund that we've started, the GoFundMe project that we are working on, where we are inviting every Zimbabwean in the diaspora, including those working in media organization, to join us, raise funds for this lobbying, because we feel like this is probably the next step that is available for us to achieve to have the biggest achievement of us having to vote in the diaspora. So as much as we are based in Australia, yes, we are, but we are inviting every Zimbabwean in the diaspora. The GoFund link has been going on, has been going out. If people can just join us, support us, because at the end of the day, once we win this initiative, then it's going to benefit everybody living everywhere. So all we are is, at the moment, just inviting every Zimbabwean in the diaspora. Please join us. Let's lobby for this diaspora vote. Everybody just contribute to the GoFundMe project.
Thank you, Roswitha. Frank, you are leading the GoFundMe portfolio of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative. What is the current status of the GoFundMe campaign? And what milestones have you reached as far as the GoFundMe process is concerned?
The GoFundMe campaign has not been doing very well in regards to people making contributions, possibly because this is just starting. And as we continue to publicize it, we expect more and more people to be on board. And we also encourage you, Harry, to participate as well. Help us raise the required funds by any means necessary. Tell your friends to tell their friends, about this GoFundMe campaign. It's not about me. It is not about the initiative as an organization. It is about all of us as Zimbabweans. So we urge Zimbabweans across the globe, to participate in this exercise, as this is going to help everyone, including those that are not of voting age at this juncture, but sooner or later they will be benefiting from this important milestone.
Do you have any specific figure or target that you are looking at to raise in order to push forward this initiative?
We are actually targeting every Zimbabwean who is everywhere, including those that are in Zimbabwe who have got the capacity to support us. We are not choosing. We are saying we need to make sure that we do have everything that it takes for Zimbabweans living in the diaspora to participate in electoral processes, and this requires us as foot soldiers, to work extremely hard, and we make sure that we achieve our goals. And this can only be achieved if all of us, including those that are not part of the initiative, participate in this process.
Indeed, the right to vote is a priority for every Zimbabwean, irrespective of where you are, whether you are in the diaspora or whether you are in Zimbabwe. But ensuring that every Zimbabwean citizen is afforded the right to vote should be a priority for everyone. Now, considering, ladies and gentlemen, the latest developments in Zimbabwe in the past week, where we have seen cabinet approving some amendments to the constitution, meaning really that we could possibly have government deferring elections till maybe 2037 or 2030, I don't know. What is your timeline? What is the timeline for your goals as the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative? Is your focus the next general election, or you are looking at it as a long-term constitutional reform? What are your timelines? Go ahead,
Well,
Frank.
let me come in ahead of the chairperson, with all due respect. Well, we want to vote as soon as possible, even if it means elections are called for today. We want to participate in those elections. So, therefore, the right to vote that we are demanding is very urgent. It is very urgent. So people must not wait until the last minute, or they must not wait until the election date has been proclaimed by the head of state, as is required by law, for them to start demanding their right to vote. We are actually in the process of making sure that we do all we can to ensure that everyone across the globe participates in this GoFundMe campaign, to ensure that everyone has got or enjoys the right to vote in the next election. Even if the referendum is called for tomorrow, we want to participate in that referendum. We need our voices to be heard.
Indeed, we need our voices to be heard. I'm sure that is the war cry for every Zimbabwean. They need to exercise their constitutional rights, as everyone knows that it was one of the fundamental missions and reasons why people went to war, the war of liberation. Now, as we conclude tonight's discussion, how do you intend to mobilize Zimbabweans in the diaspora to buy in to this diaspora vote initiative? How?
The exercise of mobilization has been an ongoing thing. I will join it up with the question you asked later, I mean, earlier on. I mean, the diaspora organization being only in Australia. No, it's not only in Australia. We have got members that are in Botswana. We've got members in South Africa. We've got members in the UK. And I'm not too sure if this other member is still with us, but was, I think, Canada or America. So the objective was to have points people in every country that will help mobilize the Zimbabweans in those countries.
What does a successful future for Zimbabwe look like to the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative team? I'll start with you, Paddy.
Okay, right. It's basically the same. What you need for a country to succeed is a social contract between the governed and the governor, because
A
that
social
brings
contract between
together
the
the whole
government and the
nation,
governor. And,
and
and, the, and the,
the nation starts to move. Yes, the governed, which means the citizens, and the government. If there is no cohesion between the two, we don't see any success in Zimbabwe. If there is cohesion, there is ownership, where the majority of the people will say, yes, this is our government. And yes, they've done wrong here. And we are going to tell them they are wrong. And the government will say, okay, these are our citizens, these are our bosses. They have complained about this, so we are not going to do that. That creates cohesion in a nation and actually create a nation that will bring success. So in the absence of that social contract,
indeed,
uh,
indeed.
things will remain fighting each other and unendingly, and the country as a result will be suffering. It will be the loser.
Thank you very much, Padma.
That would be all.
Indeed, we cannot have cohesion when citizens do not have a say in who their leadership are. And let's have your last words, Frank.
Well, it is archaic
Over to you, Frank.
for us as Zimbabweans in this day and age to be talking about whether citizens living outside the country's borders should be allowed to vote or not allowed to vote. More than 46 years after the country gained its independence from Britain in 1980, we should be talking about something that is forward looking. We should not be having this debate in the very first place. What we should be talking about is how do we develop our country? We are in the diaspora. And we have seen how economies in the first world are managed. Therefore, those back home can actually take good use of us here. This is the debate we should be having. We should not be talking about do we allow these Zimbabweans to vote or not? Do we allow this cross section of Zimbabweans to vote or not in this day and age? This is archaic. And want to buttress the point that when President Emerson Mnangagwa took oath of office after deposing Mugabe in November 2017, the man promised to institute key democratic reforms that include the diaspora vote. And in the absence of him instituting those key democratic reforms, the president ceases to be a Democrat. The sitting administration in Zimbabwe ceases to be democratic. When people went to the protracted liberation struggle, one of the reasons why they were fighting was one man, one vote. But 46 years down the line, we don't have that. Surely this is regrettable.
Indeed. One thing that is very clear tonight is that Zimbabweans are really, really crying for the right to exercise their constitutional right, that is to vote, irrespective of where they are. That is one thing which is very, very clear. So you may be joining us from the UK, from the US, from Canada, from Germany, all over the African diaspora. If you are Zimbabwean, we want to hear what you think about this initiative to try and work with the Zimbabwean government so that there are some constitutional amendments that will allow Zimbabweans in the diaspora to exercise their votes in the next election. We want to hear your opinions on this very, very fundamental and important issue. Once again, thank you very much for joining us on the Kwedu Report tonight, where we were hosting the leadership of the Zimbabwe Diaspora Vote Initiative. Roswitha Mangirosa, the chairperson, Padmo Kufa, the spokesperson, and Frank Shkore, who leads the GoFundMe portfolio of the group. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope this initiative takes us to the promised land, where one day, as Zimbabweans, we will all be able to cast our votes, irrespective of our geographic location. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to the Kwedu Report.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Once again, thank you to our viewers for joining us. You can like, follow, and share our page on the Kwedu Classics on Facebook, on Twitter, on X, on TikTok, on YouTube. You can also read all the latest news on the website. Till we meet again in the next edition of the Kwedu Report. You have a good one.